Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here in Antwerp with yet another brew review, and today we are checking in with another iteration of the Indulgence series, the Gouden Carolus Indulgence by Het Anker. Now we have had some of these series, and this is number 10th anniversary, but they left the partying to this year, the 11th one, but 10 years after the first. The first one was the whiskey infused, which was so hugely successful that they made it a regular beer, but they kept experimenting each year with the Anno 1501, I believe, and with the Mbingu Gold, and with the Sauvage, which I absolutely loved. You name it, the Batalik, there are several. I think I still have some here, the Festiva even. So this is number 10, the Gouden Carolus Indulgence Margaretha. Yeah, I want to tell you a lot about this beer, but they wrote a lot of it down on the bottle, so I'm just gonna read this first, and if anything springs to mind, I will add. So, Margaretha Dark Ale aged on cherries. We'll get back to that in a second. 8.5% ABV, limited edition 2024. Signed by Charles Leclerc, 5th generation family owner. He sold it last year, or early this year, to Brewery Huige, known from Delirium Tremens and Paranoia, for example. Brewed, re-fermented and bottled in Belgium. Okay, that goes without saying in this case. But, of course, the interesting stuff is on the back. Gouden Carolus Indulgence is a limited series of beers brewed every year with varying content. Margaretha is the 10th taste expression released under this label. This edition revolves around the delicate balance between sour and sweet. By blending dark and old brown beer, we create a unique combination where dark chocolate and ripe fruit merge with a subtle sour finish. Months of aging on cherry results in additional depth of flavor. With this anniversary release, we bring color and taste together in a masterful harmony. Now, I want to zoom in on that because they do say, where is it here? By blending dark and old brown beer. Old brown is a term that we use for old brown, red brown. It's like we had the Ichtigems Grand Cru, for example, or the Rodenbach genre. That is what we mean with old brown, red brown, Flemish brown, and so on. So they did blend their own dark beer, the Gouden Carolus, and some old brown beer, but if we think about it, Het Anker doesn't make old brown or red brown or whatever. They don't make sour ales. So where did they get it? And I am a bit disappointed that they don't mention this on the bottle, because there is no shame in this. They bought the old brown beer, and that is why this is not a collaboration. They actually just bought it as a resource. But they bought it from Verhaeghe, and Verhaeghe is a super brewery, and they make one of my all-time favorite old brown beers, which is the Duchesse de Bourgogne, not to be mistaken for Bourgogne de Flandre. And Duchesse de Bourgogne in its own right also brews the old brown that we know of them, with chocolate, which is maybe not my favorite, and in a cherry version, which is pretty okay, but more on that later on. So this is a blend of dark golden, the Gouden Carolus, of Duchesse de Bourgogne style beer. It's probably not the Duchesse de Bourgogne itself, but they did buy the old brown from Verhaeghe. And then they laid cherries on this and let it age, let it re-ferment. So I am very curious for the taste. Contains barley, wheat and cherries. That is all in English. Funny, because in other languages it also says things like hops and yeast and water. I guess that's a legal thing. Okay, now in all my enthusiasm, I forgot to research who the hell was Margaretha. So I'm thinking a ancestor, but I will have to leave this question open. If anyone knows, enlighten me in the comments. Or maybe I'll just have to get back on this. Taster glass, 15 centiliters, which makes 5 portions in this 75 centiliter bottle. Another branded muselet. I think about a quarter of all my muselets are from Het Anker by now. Branded cork as well. Now what surprises me is that this only has a shelf life of 3 years. But I would beg to differ. It's an 8.5% old brown and dark combination. I would say this will hold for a few years. A lot going on in this glass. It has a very tiny bubble, so it's a champagne-like effervescence, and it is a nice deep red color. The color reminds me of like darkened maraschino cherries. It is quite murky, quite hazy, and a thin head of foam on there, which is red, brown, beige, pinkish. But of course, if you have paid attention to some older videos that I made, you'll know that acidic beers and red brown is by definition slightly acidic, or quite acidic even, has less foam, so less foam stability. That acidity fights with the protein, and that protein apparently basically adds to the foam stability. Oh, very nice scent, very fresh, very refreshing, very fruity, very acidic as well. It's sweet and sour. Quite sweet as well. I'm getting cherry, I'm getting maraschino cherry, I'm getting candy, but I'm also getting some sourness. So it's like a complete fruit and candy store in here. I'm getting lactic acid mainly. So in acidity we have categories, and we have like the citric acid, so lemons, limes and so on. We have vinegar, and then we have lactic acid, and lactic acid is way more mellow, way softer, more pleasant in the mouth as well, not so aggressive. And lactic acid is what we use to acidify old brown beer, for example, and oftentimes lambic and gueuze are a combination of that lactic acid and maybe some citric acid or some vinegar, but for me personally, preferably lactic acid. And I also get a hint of chocolate in there, probably from the dark beer. So all of a sudden now my mind goes from candy store to more chéri, so the cherry liquor filled chocolates. Okay, let's have a taste. Cheers. Ooh. Okay. Oh, where to start? This is a lot. Even from that one tiny sip. First off, more sour, more acidity than I expected. So there's way more acidity in the flavor than there is in the scent. And in the flavor, I do get some of that citric acid, some of those lemony hints, which actually works in this beer. And secondly, carbon dioxide. I said that I saw a lot of tiny bubbles, a lot of champagne-like bubbles, and indeed it feels like having a top shelf champagne or cava or spumante or whatever you want to call it, sparkling wine. Because the champagne yeast ferments with smaller bubbles, but in this case, same goes. At the same time, I mentioned, of course, cherries, duh, but also chocolate. And in the flavor, I get both of those, and they are very balanced. So the silly remark that I made about cherry liquor-filled chocolates, yeah, but with a very subtle chocolate flavor. So I can absolutely applaud this. Oftentimes when brewers attempt chocolate beers or chocolate and fruit beers, they go way too aggressive on the chocolates and they make it more like cream soda, chocolate, cherry lemonade. And this is quite nice. So it also helps being this acidic, because that balances out the sweetness of the cherries and the chocolate at the same time. I get tingling feelings all over the mouth. So the gums, the glands, the roof of the mouth. Also, the retronasal cavity gets filled up with those fumes, those vapors. Absolutely extremely pleasant. It's like entering a bakery at 6 in the morning when the oven's just opened up. Call me crazy, but I do get a tiny hint of vanilla in there. Now, I don't think they aged this on oak barrels, although I know that Het Anker has quite a few of them. But I do get a tiny hint of vanilla there. And the after flavor is just amazing. The acidity remains, but that mellow blanket of like cherry filled cookies is fantastic. And this is a real surprise to me, because I really expected this to be sweeter and fruitier, but it is absolutely on point, extremely balanced. So for the scoring, I am going like 4.25 easily. They have all the quality parameters. They have it's up my alley at the same time, and just the element of surprise. Wow. Just still a bit disappointed that they didn't mention Verhagen for the Old Brown. And they didn't make it a secret, because I think I got this info off their own website. But still, shame. Anywho, 4.25 it is. I'm going to enjoy this a bit further. I am going to share this bottle with some friends later tonight, albeit a bit less probably, because I might take a second portion. But that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support this channel, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. visit the Patreon page, and I will see you guys again in the next video. Cheers!